I mean, this is a sport that's on the precipice of irrelevance.
The games are taking over 3.5 hours. Playoff games are taking over 4 hours.
Game's too long, too slow. Who cares?
This is a situation where baseball's in trouble to begin with.
I hate to break it to you, baseball's dead.
Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's a Monday. That means that baseball happened this past weekend. Glorious baseball happened this past weekend. I did elect to show mercy on Justin Havens by not taking a jersey from him this past weekend. I kind of figured, this would be an easy series win for the Sox, and he wanted to do a jersey bet for the series. And I said, you know what? Keep your pathetic fucking jersey. Okay. Like I don't want it. I don't need it. I if anything, I'm trying to get rid of clothing at this point. Like I'm trying to, get settled in my new home, and my closet's a disaster. Like the last thing I need is more clothing. So I did just want to put that out there that I did win the jersey bet with Jay Hay, but like I don't want whatever he's selling.
You did win the jersey bet. Is that how down bad we are this year for the Sox?
Hey guys, we had a great article in the Globe today just highlighting everything going great for the Red Sox and Craig Breslow. So why?
No, I saw that.
I
saw that. That was good. That was good. He's the first ever person to need an English to English translator because he sucks at communicating so bad.
Hey, the big selling point, former player, unlike Hein Bloom, who'll really connect with the clubhouse.
Yep.
It took year 3 for him to understand that it's important to build relationships with people in the organization. Year 3.
I feel like, not that I want to start there. Obviously, we're going to break down our weekend series and everything like that. But I think if you get to the point where you need an English to English translator, I think it's okay to say, I think we made a mistake.
Well, you need
instead of trying to put duct tape on the flesh wound. Let's just say, hey, maybe this isn't the right fit if we need to go this route.
Well, I haven't read this article. That
Dallas. The gist is that he's so bad at communicating that he basically needs someone to walk around with him, or would benefit from somebody walking around with him and communicating his high level SMIB type ideas to the common folk down on the lower levels. That it's just kind of like it's too high minded. It's too kind of complex. The brain is just
smart.
too big.
He's too smart. Yeah. Multiple officials told Tim Healy that Craig Breslow might benefit from having an interpreter of sorts, someone with a more traditional baseball fabric and personable demeanor to convey his message. Some in the organization believe Chad Tracy could fill that role because he's comfortable pushing back.
Can I
fuck
ask
that Alex Cora guy?
Yeah,
who, was really the perfect branch to what you're describing there.
That was my immediate question off of that. Was like, isn't that what Alex Cora was and was? Aren't those his strengths? The things that we just listed, and didn't we get rid of him?
Look,
of course,
I gotta say this. I gotta say this.
Say it.
And it's because I played with him. I am, and I'm being serious. I don't know how much. I don't know that I've seen a bigger, like. I don't even know if it's a 180. I honestly, it shocks me that it's this bad. It truly does, because there's no way that for hours on end, I sit there across from this individual and am able to connect, have conversations, play cribbage and bullshit, and you know what I mean, like the whole nine. And then he spends as much time as he does in the game and is having this tough of a time connecting. And I don't know. I mean, look, like Craig, like for all the shit talking that people want to do, it's a smart dude, man. It's a very smart dude. And I know that there are people, I mean, I kind of go through it every week, at least a few times, where I'm talking to people that I really have to dumb shit down for. You know what I mean? I'm talking to people that I really have to try to simplify things for. And you guys do a great job.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays?
Well, yeah. I wasn't going to, but the point is, Craig I got to believe that there's a moment where he can just like, hey, remember when I played? Remember when I I know what I wanted then in terms of communication. I know what we needed then in terms of communication. Like, when does he dip back into that? That's what is surprising me, is that it sounds like he is so far removed, because I can't speak to it. I mean, you guys read everything that comes out about that franchise. It just, it does. It shocks me, because he's not somebody who, while we were playing, was like intolerable, someone that you couldn't speak to, someone that was better left just in the corner by themselves. Like, that's not who he was.
He's the first former baseball player who didn't play baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, cause I mean, talking to him last year about the communication stuff, I got the impression that he understood that was a problem. I got the impression that it was something that he was going to address, and I can't speak to whether or not, there's been improvement, like I think it all started with the Devers thing, and how like having to explain, like, hey, like the Latin players are different in not just like with the language barrier, but just I guess the gesture of how you communicate. Yeah. Like, there being any confusion about, well, if you had gone to the Dominican and talked to him face to face about this, would it have made a difference? Absolutely, it would have. Like, that's a show of respect that you go out to the Dominican and like, hey, we're thinking about bringing in Alex Bregman. Like that I mean, because Rafi's just a unique dude where I don't know that he even answers a text message. I don't know that he's operating with a cell phone in the off season. He's not checking Instagram DMs or things of that nature.
Keep in mind, Rafael Devers arrived to spring training in the middle of January in 2025. So you had an entire month before Alex Bregman signed with the organization to just have a convo with him, to sit down and go through these things. You waited until he left for his daughter's birthday. And then all this happens. And not only do you change the language of what was going on, Alex Bregman is no longer the Gold Glove second baseman that Alex Cora was raving about. He is now the third baseman. And not only that, Rafael Devers, we don't want you touching the infield. Throw the glove away. This isn't some days, maybe once a week, you get a breather there. You can go get a little work in. No, we don't want you touching a glove.
Yeah. This story, I don't know. I wish I could talk to more people who deal with Craig on a day-to-day basis to see, like, is this overblown, or is there have you noticed a change in his communication patterns or effort to communicate better, more as a human being? I don't know. I would like to think that, if he acknowledges that it's an issue, that it was addressed in some matter.
When we were in Boston last year, I saw it was almost like movie script-esque, where he was walking alone on the concourse in the dark, and I was walking towards him, and we just like met on the concourse with fucking nobody there, like a random peanut vendor that was stocking shit, getting shit and ready for the ball, and spoke for 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like normal dude.
Same experience. Yeah, like the day that we shot that Jordan's commercial, we were up there and he was walking the concourse. We crossed paths, ended up talking for like 15, 20 minutes. Had it mostly about baseball, like just not, and it was not communicated to me in a way, like, not that you have to dumb it down to me, but like, obviously there's people that think that he speaks baseball in a way where you're like, that was Japanese. Like, I do not understand a word that you just said. It wasn't that way. It's like, yeah, like, it's just, I don't know. I get it. Like, when he does his press conferences, and I feel the same way about Sam Kennedy. You listen to their press conferences and you're like, what the fuck am I listening to right now? Like, what is this? This is not how humans speak. And then you talk to them one-on-one and you're like, this is just a dude. This is just a dude who knows ball. So I don't know. I guess it's less about communication skills and more about just authenticity. I think it's more that than anything else.
I do think it rings quite loudly that Theo Epstein, according to multiple sources in that story,
disappointed
disappointed in the way he's gone so far in the analytical direction. And when that guy was one of the main people who recommended you, and we know Theo played a part in the Chaim Bloom hiring as well. But if we're talking about the few people that still have John Henry's air in some capacity, it feels like Theo Epstein is one of those guys. So if something has to change, or if you're letting John Henry know, or he asks you, is this not going to work? Is this something where we need to restart with somebody else? The fact that Theo is seemingly out on someone who was a protege underneath him, hired.
What was that word?
Protege. Is that it?
Yeah, close enough.
One more time.
Yeah, give it one more time. Yeah.
Protege.
No, you're moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
now,
that was
Protege.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a T instead of a D.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
What?
you.
You went.
It's a T. It's
Feel like you're laughing right now.
I'm gonna start calling you D.
holy shit! It's
you were also saying protege versus it's protege. Yeah.
but hold on, T.
You're in the neighborhood.
Are you
You're in the
thinking
neighborhood.
prodigy?
Yes.
No.
Oh, those are two different words, brother.
Yeah, those. Yeah, yeah, those are
No,
different words. Yeah.
no. Now you're just combining them. It's prodigy. That is like
protege.
a young person who's like incredibly skilled or smart or whatever at their
Like
field.
Theo Epstein when he first came on was a prodigy.
No, that's not what I'm
A
referring
protege is someone that you have taken under
an
your
underling.
wing, has culture. You have cultured them. You have raised them. You have kind of guided them in the business.
Yeah.
Time out.
Second.
Time out. We're not just blowing past whether or not it was a T or a D that had him finally get the fucking sound right. We're not.
Yeah.
It's a tough word. I don't think it's an English word either.
No, it's
so-
a protege. A protege.
Yes. But this was someone Breslow brought into that Cubs front office, and we know Breslow worked remotely. He was in Newton for a majority of that time, but it was clearly someone Theo Epstein believed in, at least from a pitching standpoint. And then to give that recommendation, to lose that guy who's in your corner, who's supposed to be really the elder statesman that you can speak to for advice that Chaim never had, that is a troubling kind of aspect of all of this right now.
And it feels like it's also setting us up for the inevitable this offseason, which is, the Red Sox ownership has heard it, and they're not interested in absorbing this blame or any more blame than they have to absorb. So the manager's gone, the franchise legend Veritek is gone, and now we're starting to hear chirps about how Craig Breslow can't talk to anybody. So, I mean, if he still had a job at the start of next season, would you guys be surprised?
Surprised? No. But I definitely don't.
Hold on. Let me ask.
So there's
let
different
me ask you it this
checkpoints,
way.
right? Like is he gonna? I think we're too close to the trade deadline to where I think they would have made a move by now if they didn't trust him with a deadline. Like I think he's going to get the deadline, but then I don't know what they're looking to see, because if you're buying to get into the playoffs and ownership is telling you have to make the playoffs this year or else you're done, then that's a dangerous spot to put a guy in when he's on the hot seat and you need to make the playoffs with a shit team. I also look at it as if you're giving him the deadline and the whole purpose of this deadline is to move veteran pieces to bring in future pieces, how are you going to fire him at the end of the year if you're already saying like, all right, we're looking towards the future?
Yes.
Well, so this is why I wanted to ask it this way. Would you be more excited about, and does it speak positively or negatively, should he not be there to begin next season? Would you be excited about it because that does give you direction as a franchise, or at least as a fan base towards their franchise? Or does not removing him give you a better sense or a better feel of the direction your franchise is going?
I think for me, a lot of it would come down to what the hiring process is. Now, last time around, we know whether it was Brandon Gomes, who's the GM with the Dodgers, like trying to outreach to some of these bigger candidates that all rejected you and eventually led you to taking Craig Breslow, who everyone knew was green, was probably years away from being ready for the position. But you kind of jumped the gun and said, this guy has a ceiling that we believe in. We think he could be that special. We're willing to go through some of these growing pains. And when you look at the last two CBOs, Breslow not making it out of his third season would be even drastic compared to Chaim Bloom Bloom or Dombrowski, who got fired at the end of their 4th seasons for both of those guys. I do wonder, and I think this is what it comes down to for me. Like, if you're bringing in an experienced voice like Derek Falvey, who's a local guy who had that weird breakup with the Twins during spring training, someone maybe who can be a more of a middle ground to a lot of the things that people have an issue with when it comes to Craig Breslow, I'd be intrigued by that, because I think you could reset that front office and have a real veteran voice that knows what they're doing. If you're going to go through the same process and you end up just switching to another young CBO and hoping for the best, it is going to feel rather directionless, even if you are somewhat excited just to see what somebody else does differently.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think if you were to fire him, I would still need to feel confident in who the next person was. Like, I just removing the person is not going to make you be like, yay. It's more like, all right, well, now what? You know, like it would have to be someone that you have a vote of confidence in.
And that now what piece, I think, is interesting and probably a future conversation as opposed to this one. But like, I do think existentially the Red Sox are facing some pretty significant questions if the rest of this season goes the way that it has to this point. Like, you thought, forget whether you had a successful season as a team or made the playoffs in 2026 or won the World Series. You thought going into this year that you had tent poles, right? That you had at least the pieces to build around on both, quote unquote, both sides of the baseball. And I'm not saying that this current injury with Garrett Crochet is career altering, but you are looking at a point where this is going to be a significantly disrupted season. It's not going to be the one that you thought you were getting. And probably more pertinent is the Roman Anthony stuff, which is, I'm not bailing on Roman Anthony, but there was more conversation about could this guy contend for the MVP in 2026 than there was, are we sure we know what kind of player we're getting? And I think unless he comes back and is just 100% Roman Anthony that we thought we were getting last season, that's going to be a massive question for the Red Sox going into next season. And that's above and beyond kind of like the smaller questions like, what is Christian Campbell like? Is he ever going to participate in this project moving forward? Like, what does the rest of the rotation look like, et cetera? Like, I was confident in the Red Sox foundation going into this season, and I think that foundation has been rocked significantly as we stand here on June 1st. Is that fair? Am I being overly pessimistic
I think
on that?
you nailed it, Jay.
Oh, okay.
I'm more positive on the pitching side, even with the stuff with Crochet, who now there is a history of shoulder issues that go back to his days with the White Sox. But what you've seen out of Connolly early and Peyton Tolley this year, I do think have given you some real pillars to lean on, along with Ranger Suarez, who I think for the most part has been pretty damn good there. To know that hopefully 4 spots of your rotation are in pretty good shape moving forward is a nice place to be. On the offensive side, I do think the Roman Anthony question is real, even though I am a big believer and I haven't gotten off of that. I do think the steps from Awilio Abreu and Ceddanne Rafaela this year are some of the steps that you were starving for. But I also think it's how you're going to break down this offense at the deadline. Because if you flip Wilson Contreras, who has been one of the more impactful right-handed bats in the sport so far, and clearly the best hitter on the Red Sox, that is a massive thing you're going to need to figure out and find a guy to replace. And that's beyond needing another bat into this conversation already. And that's where I think, like, you talk about a lot of things you got to check off in an offseason. If you're bringing in someone new and asking them to do that, that's a whole nother leg to, do they need to learn how to be a CBO here in Boston? Or even if it's a veteran guy recreating the front office in his vision.
And if Wilson Contreras has been the best hitter on the Red Sox, which I'm not disputing, and you move him because this is the time to get value for him for something 2027 beyond, who is the best hitter on the 2027 Red Sox? Who's the second best hitter on the 2027 Red Sox?
You're back to the Roman Anthony hoping and, pleading
for sure.
him
And
to
then
be that
even
guy.
if you get the Roman Anthony piece back in place, like I do think the whole, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but the whole idea of this era of the Red Sox was Roman Anthony, Marcelo, and Christian Campbell. And we're now massive question marks on all 3 of those guys for varying reasons. And that to me is like, you can patch over with the Wilson Contrerases. You can get good bursts of production out of Isaiah Kiner-Falefas, but like, what is the offensive foundation of this team moving forward? Because it's not Duran. It's not Rafael. In my opinion, Rafaela is not a foundational offensive piece. It's not Contreras for reasons that you probably just outlined. And it's not Durbin.
And you speak
who is
to
it?
contracts on the books for the next year, and
Tristan
at least
Casas.
2027 alone. Shout them out. Thank you. And Trevor Story and Masataka Yoshida. That will still be under contract here with significant question marks on Story about whether he's still a Major League Baseball player, and Yoshida to the point where, he's a platoon bat that's making $18 million and only makes your roster construction a bigger problem and a problem for either Breslow or the next guy to come and take this job. I don't think they are significantly far away, but I do think it's going to take someone coming in here that is willing to make some really hard decisions that Craig Breslow was seemingly kicked down the road for years at a time, and it bit him in the ass this year and hurt players on this team like a Jarren Duran that you needed to be a pillar who weren't okay with the outfield logjam and crashed into the ground for the first, call it 6 weeks of the season.
They're probably rooting for the lockout at this point so that they don't have to worry about the fucking disaster of the roster in 2027. They'll be like, yeah, we'll get some guys off the books, come back in 28, and we'll get after it.
It is agonizing to see you be able to put together a rotation, even with some of the mistakes you've made with the Kyle Harrison, and to come up this short on the offensive side of the ball as well. Just in terms of understanding what veteran presences mean and what it means for players to have stability in their role and knowing what it means to go out there, knowing who your players are. That goes back to the communication thing. Anyone who knew Jarren Duran knew this kind of role, this kind of situation wouldn't be good for someone like him, yet they took the chance anyway.
Yeah, you should take a chance on Kalshi T.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, because right now you can trade against peers in a live market, meaning that there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app right now. Use the promo code BID to get $10 when you trade 10. That's Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade on anything. Our presenting sponsor. Thank you so much, Kalshi. So let's get into some weekend series. We can shit on the Red Sox whenever we want. That's always going to be there.
Multiple products available in the business to do that.
Yep. There is there's plenty of places to do it, plenty of places to hear about it, and I can't imagine it's something that won't be an issue tomorrow or the next day or next week or next month or next year. So very excited. Very excited about my Chicago White Sox. Woo! Another sweep. Chalk it up. The bum ass Tigers. Here we go. The Chicago White Sox sweeping the Detroit Tigers over the weekend. They are a game back in first place. We'll get into that a little bit later. But winners of 5 straight games, the White Sox. It's more of a, like, people were like, oh man, it's a nice little run they've been on. That's great. No. Oh no, it's not a run. It's not a run. The White Sox have the second best record in the fucking league since Southside Jerry was born. 23-12, 4th best record in Major League Baseball. We're not talking about a cute little month. We're not talking about a nice little fucking 2-week run that they've been on. And any team can get hot for 2 weeks. No. We're talking about one of the very best teams in Major League Baseball, the Chicago White Sox. Over the weekend, how about a little Benny Biceps action, huh? He had a fucking 1064 OPS. Montgomery with a 1364 OPS. Tristan Peters, by the way, 1429 OPS in this sweep against the Tigers. Get fucked, Detroit. Go fuck yourself, Tigers. Next up, we have the Mets and Marlins, a series in which your New York Metropolitans swept away the competition. A lot of homers in this series. Carson Benj, I see, homered. Melendez, Vientos, Soto again. The guy can't fucking stop hitting home runs. Marcus Semien hit 500 in this series and also homered. Bombs away for the Mets in their 3-game sweep over the Marlins. Next up, we have, you know what? I don't know how the fuck I read this wrong. I think, unless you want to trade, I did Braves Reds and I had Brewers Astros. It is what it is. I'm gonna talk about this fucking Braves rotation though, because they ended up with Martin Perez. Okay, Martin Perez. In case you didn't realize, ended up with the Atlanta Braves. He's been bouncing around the league for a little bit now. In his what was that? 2022, I want to say, was his All-Star campaign out of nowhere. But 4 hit innings with 2 earned runs for Martin Perez. Did give up a home run, but. Yeah, he got the lone win out of any Braves starter to take the bump this weekend. Spencer Strider went out there, 5 innings, 3 earned, 8 Ks for him. Fucking Holmes, not great. But you know what? At
But
the end
you know
of
what
the day,
happens?
it's
You know what happens, Jared?
what happens?
Is he
What
doesn't
happens?
punch out 10, they win. That's what happens.
Yeah, so big time dub for the Atlanta Braves, series win over the Cincinnati Reds, and then last but not least, you had a St. Louis Cardinals Chicago Cubs rivalry series over the weekend, in which the Cardinals took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. And this one was a lot of offense for the St. Louis Cardinals. You had Sajasi, Velasquez, Weatherholt, and Herrera combining to hit 419 in this series with a 1242 OPS. 4 boppers combining to get on base at a 500 clip and slug almost 750 in this series. So the Cardinals proving to not necessarily be a fluke this season. I think as today is June 1st, there were a lot of people saying, oh, a nice little start for the Cardinals. We'll see if they can keep it up. They've been keeping it up. And for the Chicago Cubs, who have been scuffling quite mightily for quite some time now and are free-falling in that NL Central division, more shit sandwiches for that team, who should be, I don't know, picking up the phone, maybe giving Craig Breslow's interpreter a call to see if they can get a deal done. Let's see. I don't know. Dallas, what do you got? A's, Yankees.
Oh, buddy. A's Yankees had a lot of what the fuck going on. A lot of it. Unfortunately for the green and gold, we lose Luis Severino game 1 after inning 1. Not ideal, I got to tell you, for a team who has some holes in the rotation at this point. Losing Luis Severino was less than ideal. We did get to talk about Gage Jump on Just the Nuts, but that was not this weekend series. That went horribly wrong for the Athletics. There's really no other way to put it. Lost 2 out of 3. JT Ginn was good. JT Ginn was great, which is just another step in the right direction for this dude. The Yankees almost outscore the A's for the series in one single inning. In one single inning. Am I going to go off on this one single inning and scrap the rest of the entire series? Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm going to.
Good for you, man. Good for you. That's some good editorial judgment out of you.
I have never seen anything like this happen in my life. In my life, they hit around twice in the same inning. Not once, twice. I watched a starting pitcher go back out to the bullpen and warm up again, like he was coming into the game for the first time again, so that he could enter the game after a 48-minute half inning. They put 13 runs on the board on 11 hits in one inning. Anthony Volpe was 2 for 2 with 2 bags and scored twice in the same inning.
Jared?
Dallas, question for you. This inning kind of got me wondering if it's approaching an hour and, you've got broadcasters that are older in age, not saying you, but across the league, older in age. Is it common practice to have a piss bottle in the booth? Like if you if you're older and you really can't hold it and you stumble into an hour-long inning, you're not just gonna piss your pants. Like, what is protocol?
I mean, depending on who is staffed in that room, I can imagine there have been some liberties taken. Like you're gonna look. The show must go on, right? And however I got to sit up here, and however long I got to stay here and tap dance for this, it's what you got to do. I got to believe it's what you got to do. I have not ran into that situation, thankfully, but I got to believe, yeah.
I would run into that situation every game.
Yeah.
Well, tiny.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah, tiny little bladder, baby.
Yeah.
I'd get some sort of nickname around the ballpark.
I feel like I'm right on the cusp of having that be an issue because we do Just the Nuts on Tuesday nights, and those are at least 5-hour streams. But it's a 3-man booth at least. So if someone has to get up and piss, our audience isn't going to be like, well, that's weird that he got up in the middle of the game to go piss. But doing unobstructed views, Like, so it's different when, you know, you're in a broadcast booth, you're not on camera the whole time. So if you do happen to, in between innings, go take a piss and you come back and like the game is about to start, you have a broadcast partner that can kind of welcome the audience back into the game action. But on an alternate broadcast, inning starts, you're on camera. You're on camera the entire time. They never cut away from you. So like you really, it's like, oh, inning over. You're sprinting to the fucking bathroom. You're like forcing the piss out of your dick, and then you have to run back and be on camera because it's like, what are you supposed to do, Tyler?
I do think we should speak to a lot of diaper companies right now. I think all of us, if we could just start rocking them, maybe it would make us a lot more efficient in what we have to do each day. Listen, diaper companies are looking for people to be the face. I think our 4 faces would look pretty good on it.
I think if me and Dallas were just rocking adult diapers for baseball broadcasts and just on the air being like, I can confirm this thing is holding up.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Well, what if you just we're doing the open and it's just hey, we are here a minute. Can't wait to get today's game started. It's going to be a great match. Last night was a blowout.
It would be very concerning if you shit that much, Dallas, 5 minutes into the game without any chance to empty out beforehand.
Or you're like my son who just gets quiet.
you keep
Dallas is taking a shit on the broadcast again. He's gone quiet. Yeah, he's just sitting.
Oh
you might have heard of Diamond Dallas Page. We've got Diaper Dallas Braden.
A new diaper dandy. So that's how that series went for the A's. That's
Nice.
how
That's
that
good
went.
stuff.
Was just not good. Takeaways from that: Ben Rice is hands down right now the best player on the Yankees, hands down. Yeah, I don't know that there's even much of an argument for that, and that is no disrespect to anybody else on that team. That is all the respect to Ben Rice, all the respect. Did get to talk to Paulie Punchout, which was nice. And a side note in that series, Ryan Weathers, who threw the ball well. Love me some Ryan Weathers. His line looked a lot tougher than what it was. It was 5 earnings. We punched out 10. He did give up the first extra base hit to a left-hander that he's given up all year long, and it was not only a homer from Sodi, but a homer from Nick Kurtz as well. So he went from giving up 0 homers, 0 extra base hits to a left-hander all season long to getting fucking tatted up twice.
Dallas, and that last Nick Kurtz moment was when Aaron Boone had gone out, lets him stay in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking he's going to get pulled, and then full-blown collapse the minute he realizes that ball's going out of the ballpark. Incredible moment.
It was because obviously he's going out there, and my partner's asking me, well, it looks like we're going to get, and I go, no. I say, you see the little hop, I said, that's Booney going out there. He's going to let him know that, hey, this is your guy. This is your guy. This is how you secure the outing right here. This is how you finish it off. And then fucking 95 top row, bam, just fucking turned inside out like an old pair of socks. It was so good. So good. Yeah. But that was the series note. Dodgers Phillies, good game 1 matchup between Wheeler and Robleski, but it was Robleski who would walk and win with that 7 innings, just 1 earned run, fucking 9 tickets punched. Wheeler 4 earnings. Big game from Ohtani, 3 for 4. Freddie, Ohtani, and Will Smith homered. Game 2 saw El Problema, Luzardo, and Sasaki square off. Sasaki continuing to trend in the right direction, looked good. You got homers from Bomb and Sosa. Sosa hit a big 2-run bomb in the 8th inning. That would help them out. And then in game 3, it was just an offensive bloodbath. Unfortunately, Painter and the entire bullpen for the Phils, not so much. But Yamamoto, so much. 5 1/3, 10 tickets. He was good. He was good. So the Dodgers took 2 out of 3 from Philly. Jared, you touched on the Atlanta series, which was Ronald Acuna Jr. was an absolute fucking animal. 4 homers, hit 500 over that series. The Braves bullpen, just to touch on, 11 1/3 innings, just 2 earnings, 14 Ks for those boys. They were fantastic. And then the fucking surging semen. Oh, the Diamondbacks covered in semen It was the piggyback. The piggyback, whether you like it or not, the piggyback was back, and it was a piggyback attack because fucking Bryce Miller and Luis Castillo. You know what? Maybe there's something to this. Maybe Craig Breslow is playing 4D chess, and he's like, you guys don't understand. I'm trying to put all the players in the most uncomfortable positions possible, and they will thrive because I'm seeing what Seattle's doing with their two studs. Seattle's got, they have, I'm not going to call it a problem, but they're in a situation that I think a lot of other teams like to be in. They've got a lot of good starting pitching, and they're trying to figure out how to deploy it. But they've gone to the piggyback, and it popped up once again. And these dudes responded. Both of them 5 innings. You needed to get through 10 innings in this ball game, which was a big deal because they played 2 extra inning ball games. They won them both. But when you have 2 starters that can just give you 10 over the course of one of those ball games, you really appreciate that. 17 innings total from the starters in that series. ERA of 2.08. Opponents, well, the D-backs mustered just a 150 average over this. And Canzone with a big homer. Crawford had 2 homers. Julio and Rayleigh also homered. So that's how the Seaman got down on the D-backs.
The first place Seaman, Dallas.
Oh, I know.
Just saying.
I know. Yeah. The sacks were full of Seaman the entire series.
The first place Seaman by a larger margin than I think I would have guessed otherwise. But
yeah, it's a new month. It's a new month.
Look. See, you don't understand here. See?
Yeah, I'd like to just be on the record as saying if you take away that 13th inning in the game 3 finale, we win that game.
Oh, no doubt.
The A's win that game.
Yeah. Tate?
The Red Sox won their first series since the sweep of the Royals from May 18th to May 20th. That was taken 2 out of 3 against the Guardians. First game was a massive headache for any Red Sox fan. The opener experiment with Bayo continues to be extremely weird. Tyler Samaniego got rocked for 4 runs. That ended up being all the runs the Guardians needed, but Bayo went and threw 7 scoreless. Now in a bulk role, he's made 4 appearances. That's a 0.71 ERA, a 1.68 FIP. The offense just couldn't do enough for Boston. Game 2 was kind of the Sonny Gray day where he went out 6 innings, a 1-run ball. Offense broke out late with Caleb Durbin actually doing something. Duran going deep once again. Connor Wong even made an impact. He thought he had his first homer since 24. Replay officials disagreed, but still a big game for him. Parker Messick continuing just to put up really solid lines. 5 innings, a 1-run ball. He has a 2.21 ERA, a 3.02 FIP through 12 starts. Game 3, finally the Red Sox end up winning a rubber game. They had lost 7 in a row up until this point. Ranger Suarez was on pace to go 6 innings, got burnt by some bad defense from Masataka Yoshida. But the game flipped in the 7th, and it was kind of refreshing. We talked about the Red Sox being horrendous from an ABS standpoint. Well, the Guardians would have escaped that jam with a 4-3 lead if they had one more challenge. Wilyer Abreu ends up walking with the bases loaded. Offensive explosion. They end up pulling out that game, but kind of one of those moments where the ABS really played a big role in the outcome of the game. Surprising to see the Red Sox get to the Guardians bullpen as well, who are 4th in ERA at the moment. Switching over to another AL East, 2 AL East squads, and the Orioles and Blue Jays. It was a 4-game split. The Blue Jays won the first 2 games, and everything was kind of riding hot. They were up to 3 and 4 wins in a row at that point. Game 1, you had Chris Bassett go out there, and it's been a rough run for Chris Bassett this year, but going up against his former team, 6 innings, a 1-run ball. He got beat out by another veteran, though, Patrick Corbin, who gave him 5 innings, a 1-run ball. Now has a 3.65 ERA in his first 10 starts of 2026. Guy who did not even get signed until April 4th this year. The Orioles gave that game away in the 8th as the bullpen leaked. Game 2.
Did you see the moment that Bassett had with Springer?
I did not see that moment, no.
Springer came into the
stuck
batter's
his
box
tongue out.
and the broadcasters were like, these guys are pretty close, but Bassett's a gamer. He's probably not going to crack a smile. Let's see if they do like a head nod or something. Like Springer got in the box and he was just like,
Big day for Springer, too. That 8th inning, he started that rally with a double. Game 2, Blue Jays bats kind of just carried once again. Charles McAdoo, first big league hit, which was a 2-run homer. Okamoto smoked his 12th homer of the season. Vladdy had a big 2-run double later in that game to pull that one out. I think you go to game 3, which was kind of the game of the weekend that everyone was talking about. Orioles down 5-1 going into the ninth inning, end up putting up 5 runs to pull off the comeback win. Orioles win probability was at 0.7% after Samuel Basallo struck out against Jeff Hoffman in that inning. So truly one of the better walk-offs we've seen in recent memory. The Orioles' third walk-off in 7 days. Pete Alonso was the hero in that one. He had been 0 for 8 in bases loaded situations this year. Finally had a moment where he came through. In Game 4, Kyle Bradish just really getting back to the pitcher that the Orioles badly need him to be. Last 5 starts, he has a 1.72 ERA. In the 7 starts prior, he was at a 5.03 ERA. Going to the Rays-Angels, Rays took 2 out of 3. Badly needed this series after getting bodied by the Orioles rather recently. Yandy Diaz led the way with 2 homers on Friday. Jonathan Aranda had a long ball as well. And Nick Martinez continues to shove. Doesn't matter what nerds like me say when you look at FIP or Baseball Savant. He's getting the job done. Saturday's game had the 3-player ejection before anything even started. Brent Suter and Rays pitchers Steven Wilson and Manuel Rodriguez, they did the old-fashioned standoff. Lance Barrett was not feeling it. Zach Neto was at the plate for the first pitch of the game, and neither guy's bent. Eventually, they got bent, and they all got ejected from that one. Drew Rasmussen got tagged for a grand slam in that first inning by Wade Meckler as well. So just they dropped that second game. And then Game 3, they were right back to it. Shane McClanahan, 5 innings of 1-run ball. Jonathan Aranda added another homer, and they ended up sending the Angels home with just 1 win in that series. Last series, we got Rockies-Giants. San Francisco took 2 out of 3. Not a ton to really feel or get overly excited in this one. Logan Webb came off the IL for the Giants. 4 1/3 innings of 1-run ball. That was spoiled by Ezequiel Tovar and Hunter Goodman. Tovar hit 2 homers, including the walk-off home run as well. Been a brutal stretch. Brutal couple years for him, really. Going back 2 years ago when he was a league average bat, I think it was an 84 OPS plus last year. Dropped all the way down to 64 and is still searching for it and chasing at rates that are not good. Ryan Feltner for Game 2 of the Rockies came back off the IL, tossed 6 shutout innings, only a couple hits. Jake McCarthy leading the way on the offensive side with a homer and 4 ribbies. So yeah, that was kind of Game 2. Not much beyond that. And then Game 3, the Giants decided to wake up. 19 runs, Willy Adames grand slam. But, we're talking shit versus poop here in terms of teams, so not much to get overly excited about one way or another.
Good news for the Rockies, though, T, is that they are the only team in Major League Baseball with a 0.0% chance of making the playoffs here on June 1st. So good times in Colorado as always. The final 3 series to get to here. Pirates Twins. We're calling this the Derek Shelton Bowl. The Pirates swept them.
That's right.
Raise it. Connor Griffin might have hit the IL, but Ryan O'Hearn returned in a big way. He homered in his first game back since going on the IL on May 17th with a right quad strain. He's been a great signing for them so far this year. Braxton Ashcraft on Sunday struck out a career-high 11 batters to finish off the sweep. Nick Gonzalez launched his first homer at PNC Park in almost 2 years, June 6, 2024. On the Twins side, they have allowed 46 runs over their 5-game losing streak, including 25 in the 3 losses in Pittsburgh. The Twins' postseason odds dropped from 36% prior to the 5-game losing streak to 19% entering play on Monday. Shout out to the Twins fan on Twitter who decided that 2 games under 500 was the right time to check back in with me on the Twins season and their relative success. Good timing by your part, as they've gotten absolutely browbeaten since that text. Rangers Royals. This was another sweep. The Rangers swept the very, very sad Royals. What a sad season for the Royals. Rangers had lost 6 of 7 prior to the 3-game sweep. It is their first time winning 3 straight since April 6th to 8th. Jack Leiter was the guy specifically I wanted to call out. He has been a favorite, particularly for Dallas and Jared, on this podcast for quite a while, and still not totally there, but something of a corner being turned. 5 2/3, 0 runs, 10 strikeouts on Sunday. That's his second 10 strikeout game this season, and 4th of his career. All 4 of those have come since August 23rd of last season. So there's definitely something happening here. I tweeted out some information on his slider for those who are interested on a little bit more, Jack Leiter. But the Rangers starting pitchers did not allow a single run in the entire series. That's Jack Leiter, Mackenzie Gore, and Kumar Rocker. You may note that didn't even include Jacob deGrom. 18 innings pitched, 0 runs for those 3 starters. The Royals have lost 6 straight, 10 of 12, and 16 of 19. The last time they scored double-digit runs in a game was April 26th. Pretty much every important offensive player on their team, other than Bobby Witt Jr., is falling flat on their face this year. Our friend Vinny P is having a brutal season. Caglione has not, he's taken a step forward in the sense that he's better than he was last year, but that's basically a dead cat bounce. And Michael Garcia has not repeated his quote unquote breakout 2025. Nationals Padres, last one for me. Nationals took 2 of 3. They have now won 6 of 8. The Padres have lost 6 of 7. They had a 52% chance to make the postseason prior to losing 6 of 7. That's now 31% entering play on Monday. So I know we talked briefly about the Padres a couple of podcasts ago. Their playoff picture has fundamentally changed since the last time we talked about them. The good news is that Fernando Tatis Jr. finally fucking hit a homer this season. He did that on Saturday. He still has not homered off of a non-fastball. Each of his last 6 homers have come off of fastballs. Last non-fastball homer was September 6th of last season. They call him the rookie card. Curtis Mead is now hitting 271, 413, 541. That's a 954 OPS over that stretch with as many walks as strikeouts, 13 of each. And overall this season, it's not just a hot streak. Overall, he has an 851 OPS and 156 plate appearances this year. Listen, the Nationals weren't the ones that traded Christopher Sanchez for Curtis Mead, so they don't have to own this. But Curtis Mead, in his own right, might be developing into one hell of a player and maybe setting up Dallas's children for a comfy retirement down the road. The Padres rotation, which is, of course, where we always come back to with them, 7.90 ERA in the 3 games. That was Griffin Canning, Michael King, and our friend Lucas Giolito. Somebody give that guy a job. Oh, wait, no, he has a job. Never mind. And James Wood, last note on this series, he hit his 16th homer of the season over the weekend. That gives him 16 homers and 10 stolen bases through 60 games. The only players to do that through 60 games in their age 23 season in Major League Baseball history are Darryl Strawberry in 85, Cal Daniels in 87, Jose Canseco in 88, Ryan Braun in 07, Acuna in 21, and of course, James Wood this season. That's what we got.
Thank you. Quick timeout from BID to let you guys know, as always, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp, and for some, summer is their favorite season. Travel picks up, kids are out of school, adventure is the focus, and for others, juggling, it can be tough, and that can lead to overwhelm and counting down the minutes until the kids are back in school. And many worry that they're wasting the days of sunshine. Me personally, I don't think I'm wasting many days of sunshine. I think I'm doing just fine, just staying in my house and doing podcasts and watching baseball with my pals. But I could see how there are some people out there that probably think that they're wasting some days of sunshine. And if that's you, then maybe BetterHelp is for you. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally, and it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. BetterHelp does the initial matchmaking work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and their 12-plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate means that they typically get it right the first time. And if you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. And of course, as always, we do have a promo code for you if you are interested in trying out BetterHelp for yourself. You don't have to say yes to everything this summer. Find support in therapy. Sign up right now, today. Get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/baseball. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball. Now back to us talking about baseball. Yeah, so Giolito, he had a real bad outing.
What's that fit?
So I don't think we need to talk about it.
Just give me the walk rate then.
No. So like through his first 2 starts, he had a 2.7 ERA. Then he had another outing, and we'll see how the next one goes after that.
12 walks to 6 strikeouts in 12 and 2/3 innings is
he's been
crazy
sitting
as fuck.
on his ass because teams wouldn't sign. It's not his fault that he's a little rusty.
That is, listen, Dallas is the pitcher here. 12 walks in 57 batters face feels less like rust and more
he
like
didn't have spring training because teams were, stupid. They didn't sign the guy.
That's a word for it.
I'm not going to slander
Tyler, fuck
Lucas.
you.
I'm not going to do that.
Hey,
Right,
I'm a
there's
Lucas Giolito
Who's
supporter.
slandering?
Tyler
Tyler was asking some very pertinent questions like, what is this stat? And what is that stat?
You started to get all negative.
No. Jay just furthered the conversation. He wanted to expand on it.
Well, I'm trying to not further the conversation.
He's trying to get the guy a job.
Yeah, I think the first 2 starts, yeah, sure. But then the last one, we can, you can throw that one out.
I think the reality is it's somewhere in the middle, and the middle isn't very good. It's very mediocre.
No. Half of 5 is 2.5, right?
Look, and we know the A's. We know the A's are a great on-base team.
You broke me.
They're gonna walk.
Anyways, yeah, let's take a look around the fucking standings, huh?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at those standings because some things have changed. Some things change, but some things remain the same, as they say. The Tampa Bay Rays are still in first place. Game and a half lead over the New York Yankees. The Toronto Blue Jays, their disappointing season continues. They're 9 games out. The Orioles, another disappointing team. They have the Red Sox that they get to play at Fenway Park where they are horrible. So maybe that'll turn Baltimore's season around. Red Sox obviously in dead last. They fucking stink. The Guardians are just having a Guardians kind of year. They are like slightly above average, and then they'll probably go on a run this summer where there's some distance between the rest of the pack. But I don't know, man. They're tied in the loss column with the Chicago White Sox, who are only a game back in first place and have a better run differential and are on a 5-game winning streak. So who knows? Maybe the first place White Sox has a great ring to it.
I just like the Guardians' young core. Watching them over the last couple days and kind of following it, like what Brian Rocchio has done to start the year. And I know he had a couple defensive miscues the last couple days that stood out. But Travis Bazzana, the way he's looked since coming, dude, he's looked incredible. And like Chase DeLauder, I know the power hasn't exactly been there, but he really hasn't got away from the approach. So I do think that's going to kind of get back to what you saw earlier in the season. Jose Ramirez, I know some people want to say Father Time has finally caught up to him, but a lot of the batted ball data is still very strong on its own. Angel Martinez has slowed down a little bit as of late, but Parker Messick, what he's doing in that rotation where the Rookie of the Year conversation, he deserves to firmly be in it. I think that is a really good foundation to have for this team moving forward. And it's differently shaped than I think some of the more recent versions we've seen of Guardians teams over the last 7 or 8 years.
Well, and I'm really glad you brought that up because we really rarely have an in-depth conversation or any depth at all about the Guardians, mostly because I just don't bring them up. But I think you really nailed it because, like, I know I came into the season thinking that this was the Tigers' division to win, and I think more than just this season, I think what this first 60 or whatever games has shown me is that not only are the Guardians like not going anywhere, not only are they a viable and maybe the favorite to win the division this season, but like they have, to me, it's now unquestionably the best across the board foundation / young core of any team in the AL Central. Like Jared can be very enthusiastic about the White Sox, and there are elements of that team that are very exciting. But I think in terms of the quantity of players that you can point to and be like, that's a core level player, I think the Guardians are at this point, and particularly when we're talking about the youth of those players and like the runway that those players have, they're on a completely different level, I think, than every other team in the AL Central. And I didn't see it quite that way entering the year because what Bazzana has brought is tough to expect from a first-year player. DeLauder, et cetera, he's gotten his attention. But you brought up Rocchio, and I think that is as important as any more sexy or higher impact change because he's gone from, a replacement level-ish player to a guy who's got a pretty credible, I don't think he'll make it, but a pretty credible like all-star candidacy this season. And this is why I think Cleveland's kind of developmental approach or mindset over the last 10, 15 years is simultaneously frustrating and also like really fucking smart and what you should be doing, because they take all of these, they basically just take middle infielders and hope that they'll just disperse throughout the team and the diamond. And a guy like Rocchio, you only have to hit so much to be a really valuable player, and he's actually exceeded the level at which you need to hit. The AL Central is, I'll lay out after this, but to me, of all the divisions that we're going to run through, I think the way the AL Central has played out through 60 games is the most fascinating of any division by far. With how bad the Royals and Tigers are, and specifically the Tigers, and that the White Sox are coming along a little faster than I think a lot of people anticipated, and that the Guardians are just better than pretty much every projection system and every individual person projected them to be this year.
Question for you, Jay Hay. If the White Sox were to figure out a way to sign Murakami long-term, would your opinion change on the core versus core discussion?
I don't think when I said that, I was sort of baking him into their long-term core, because I'm assuming now that they have him in-house, they're going to do what they can to keep him there. I think I'm okay if you want to say Murakami is the most individually exciting or the most desirable individual asset between the two teams. I'm not sure that's true, but I'm okay if you want to go that route. I don't think the White Sox have the depth of core options that, among the players that Tyler laid out and others that we didn't hit on, like Gavin Williams. I just don't think they can go quite toe for toe with the White Sox on that. The White Sox, however, as we've touched on before, are a Chicago market team, though. So if there is an opportunity for Chicago to win the division or be an actual contender, they certainly, if they were so to choose, have a level of financial might that they can flex that Cleveland doesn't have and just won't flex. But that the White Sox have kind of surpassed the Tigers and the Twins and the Royals through 60 games this year in terms of trajectory and medium-term outlook, that maybe they'll pass the Guardians too, but I think that alone is a massive win for White Sox fans through this point in the season. I mean, we've spent most of the last half decade on this podcast making fun of the White Sox for the most legitimate reasons possible, right? They were the worst team of all time, and then article after article came out about how fucking backwards and cheap and loserish their entire organization was from Reinsdorf on down. That's been the whole conversation with this team for the last half decade, and now it's not. It's not the conversation, even though the organization is probably run in much the same way from the top that it used to be. They now have talent, and that's what people are talking about. I think the White Sox are on the short list for, if we're talking about teams that have had the biggest wins through 60 games, I think they have to be near the top of that list.
Yeah, and it's what's going to come immediately in the next 3 or 4 months. Like Braden Montgomery joining the mix in there and being another guy that could pencil into that middle of the lineup for the next 5 or 6 years. Insane. Like Hagen Smith being right there at AAA, Tanner McDougal. Like they got real reinforcements that are right on the verge, and they're about to add, another number 1 overall pick to all of this entire group here. So when you kind of talk about that future, it is something that you do get really excited about. I just think the Guardians, at least for 2026, are probably a little more well-rounded to win. But yeah, I'm still high on the Royals position player group. I think the pitching side for them is going to be the more concerning thing as they try to move forward here, because I think with Cole Reagans, that's really just a complete unknown at this point. And beyond that, are you going to be able to develop a rotation that kind of uplifts them? Because they're never going to spend like the White Sox may when that time does come.
Can we talk about the Tigers real fast before we move on to another division?
It's depressing, huh?
Because I don't want to make this all about my personal Twitter interactions, but I was kind of shocked at kind of the rewriting of history as it relates to what this Tigers era was supposed to produce. It seems like people have already memory holed the idea that the Tigers did the Astros thing, right? Like they were the worst fucking team in the AL and one of the worst teams in baseball for a half decade longer, so that they could have 6 years, actually, 17 to 22, so that they could build up the foundation to then be good and take advantage of a weak AL Central. That entire buildup has produced the last 2 seasons, right? And halfway through last season, we were absolutely talking about the Detroit Tigers as a viable World Series contender. I know that for certain. That was the conversation on that team. And that they tanked and gave up the division and gacked and eventually beat the Guardians, but then bounced in the next round of the postseason. That is the high watermark doesn't change what this was supposed to be. And that it's already come and gone, like the rebuild. And now we're talking trading Skubal, which will just initiate another mini teardown, mini rebuild. Like, this is one of the most depressing and ultimately unsuccessful full teardowns that I think you're really capable of seeing in the sport. Like, we never got one 95 win season. We never got one, like, I don't know. Like, I know they're not good, and I know they never got to be as good as maybe they were supposed to be over a full season, but that doesn't change what the goals were. And it doesn't change that, like, a basically across the board failure from, like, kind of everybody outside of school.
If that's
Green.
like,
Yeah.
If what they go and get for
Spencer
Skubal,
Torkelson.
though, if what they go and, let me ask you this: if what they go and get for Skubal happens to turn them around to the point where we are talking about a 90+ 95 win team, are you okay with that happening in the next 2 years and then feeling like, okay, you know what? Excuse me. The only way that this was going to be able to happen is if we had some of these key younger core pieces that have started to develop actually do their thing and meet those expectations. And now understanding that we would have loved to have had Skubal a part of this, but ultimately it's addition by subtraction because of the depth that this individual could bring us.
So if they ace the Skubal trade and are right back to being like an AL, we'll call it an AL Central contender in 2027 and are a 90 win team moving forward, then I will say wonderful bounce back from where you could have with the path that you could have gone. That to me does not change the equation, the math on the previous rebuild, because the previous rebuild was not supposed to be shitty for 5-6 years, have the best pitcher in baseball, and then not take advantage of that pitcher, have to trade him, and then 2 years after that, be where we be in a decent spot. That's 8 years, 9 years, 10 years of baseball to produce, like, it basically take 2 rebuilds. I'm fine. Like, if they do that, that's tip of the cap to them that they were able to kind of like figure this path out. But that doesn't mean that they didn't fail in the first part of this rebuild, because this peak can't be the culmination of a 6-year teardown to be the worst team in the league. It just can't.
And at this point,
I was going through
Go
through
ahead,
the roster the other day and seeing like Casey Mize is going to be a free agent next year, and you never really had that stretch. And he's pitched really well this year when he's been healthy, obviously, but him never kind of turning into what many people imagined as one of the best pitchers in the sport. Spencer Torkelson being a league average bat and just being kind of this up and down disaster that you can't really depend on. You could talk about the position player successes. Kevin McGonigal has been awesome this year. I don't think he's being talked about enough. Riley Green, Dylan Dingler, even behind the plate. But when I kind of look at that Tigers rotation and what's happening forward, the money you spent on Jack Flaherty just being an absolute disaster, you would have been better just lighting money on fire at that point in time. Framber Valdez looking like he's taken a step back, not being that same guy, when those are some of the bigger things you've invested money into at this point in time. And now with Skubal not existing in your world, that to me is like some of the more massive failures that are going to be at the front of that conversation. Because when you really did go out there and spent money, you spent it incorrectly.
Well, and Javi Baez. I know that's a few years
but
removed
still,
now.
he's
That's
another
their big ticket
representation.
item. That's the big ticket item that they went out and spent to supplement this team. And Torkelson, to me, like, people were getting mad because the 2020 draft was such shit. And it's like, well, who would you have had them take? He was the consensus 1-1. That's not the point. The point is that when you have the 1-1 and you make the selection, and whether he was not as good as we thought or whether your team didn't develop him, having the 1-1 and getting virtually nothing out of that. Because giving Spencer Torkelson, how many fucking plate appearances has that guy soaked up? Like
2,300, and he has a 1.7 B WAR for his career.
Giving 2,300 plate appearances to a guy who ends up being replacement level is probably worse than not having had the 1-1 in the first place. Like, that is a disaster. That is an inflection point, and maybe it's not his fault. Maybe he was just never going to be as good as we thought. But that not turning into a middle of the order bat is a disaster that it's tough to come back from. And in my opinion, they were never really able to truly come back from. Anyway, I just had to talk about the Tigers because I can't fucking believe they're 15 games under 500.
Do you think, let's just say, remove the lockout from the equation, are the Tigers a one winter fix away from being back on track next year? Or because they're obviously not going to retain Skubal or trade him, whatever. That we're now in like a new rebuild phase.
That's what has to be determined. Is, I mean, you can ask that question, but I think you have to preface it with what role is Skubal playing in this? Because if Skubal is around, so if Skubal is gone, then no. I mean, you want to go another step further though? What do they get back for Skubal? Because that was the exact question that I posed, which was, if you're going to move Skubal, then are you okay within the next 2 years getting back on track? If so, then as Jay Hay said, you've aced the Skubal portion of this. If you do not get pieces back that are big league ready, big league impactful, and create depth for you, and you do not turn that corner in the next 2 years, then no, you probably didn't pass that Skubal test, and then it's a bigger indictment on what was not able to unfold based on what happened during that last teardown, like Jay Hayes said. So I mean, that's the exact same question that I was asking. But
and I think you guys are getting at a good point too. And this is where I think the comparison between the Red Sox and Tigers is interesting, because we asked that question about Roman Anthony. Like, do the Red Sox have that pillar moving forward? Is there kind of a center of their universe if they have to do a mini rebuild or a teardown or something? I don't know that answer. We don't know that answer. We know that answer with Detroit though, because Kevin McGonigal is a superstar. He is a fucking stud. And if they nail the Skubal trade, I actually think that's the piece that makes me confident that, again, this is AL Central contention. This is not them getting back to 100 wins or getting to 100 wins or 95. This is them being a viable wild card or division contender in the AL Central. I think if they nail the Skubal trade, yes, they can be back in that position, maybe 27, but definitely 28, because the best player on their team, the runway for him is a decade. And they now have that North Star to kind of build around. And I do think that really matters.
Yeah, and you have Max Clark down in AAA, who I know is extremely controversial at this point in time, but you go beyond that, and Bryce Rayner is extremely interesting within himself. But you look at the rest of that top 10 right now, Andrew Sears is their highest rated pitching prospect. He's a lefty, not in the top 100 at high A. Then you have Malachi Witherspoon. Like, those are the closest things. And in terms of kind of getting this pitching staff to where it needs to be, where it was the face of the identity of this version of the Tigers. Well, if you lose Skubal and Valdez isn't what he needs to be, Jack Flaherty continues to be what he is, and you're talking Casey Mize leaving, how positive is the outlook on a lot of those things for a team where we know in the Central, it seems like position player wise, those groups amongst all these teams, there's going to be more hitting in the AL Central than I think there has been in a while. Are you going to have a team that's built to kind of compete with that? And it doesn't. I'm not super confident they're going to be able to get there.
No, and then the other thing too is that there have been reporters talking about Skubal fetching a haul similar to what the Nats got for trading Soto, and it's like you still have to. You can make the prospect equivalent of that deal, sure, but you still have to, like, the players have to pan out. Like, you know,
they got to hit.
You're not just going to end up with and CJ Abrams, by the way, like having the fucking year that he's having, it's like sometimes that pays dividends down the line, like several years later. And then like a James Wood who's having the year that he's having, like, you know, the Skubal deal, if they were to trade him within the next month, you're not going to be able to fully evaluate that for like another 4 years. So yeah. I don't know. Anyways, we can move on because Dallas, the Sacramento Athletics are, as I'm looking at it, they're a losing franchise with a negative 34 run differential, and they are no longer in first place. They're actually tied with the Texas Rangers here. What do you have to say for yourself?
It's baseball, Susan. It's what happens. It's a
like
long season, my friend. Long season.
False bill of goods, Tyler?
Our pets' heads are falling off. I mean, like I said, we lost. Look, you lose Savali, who was arguably your most consistent arm in the rotation. You lose Severino.
In 2026, if Aaron Savali goes down and that's your season, then I don't know that you had a very good.
No, that's
plan
where I
for your
started,
season.
and you You would be so lucky to have a pitcher like him on your team right now. You would be so
He
lucky.
would be in the bullpen if he pitched for the Red Sox.
No,
But the
I don't think
Mariners
so.
are dealing with injuries. Like Brendan Donovan, who is kind of the face of a lot of the things they did this offseason, he's been out. You know,
A late ad, though. A late ad. Julio Rodriguez, by the way, I don't know when they do did they already do the voting for Player of the Month? Because it's got to be.
I just got the thing.
Julio
right now,
Rodriguez has got to be Player of the Month in the American League for the month of May. And if not, then they're I'd like to see who the fuck does win that award.
Tim and Durant for homers right now.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. Where's
he has one
Alvarez
more.
on that list?
But I think what the Mariners do have cooking, despite the injuries they've had, where like Cal Raleigh, you haven't had him. Luke Raley coming up, minimum 100 plate appearances, having the 7th best WRC plus in the sport. And that's a fan base that did not appreciate that player over the offseason, was more kind of out on him than in at that point in time. And someone in Cole Emerson, I'll tip my cap, who is just making me look like a fool. His peripherals from what he was doing down in the minors in terms of K percentage and walk percentage have been exactly that in the majors, and he's doing it with some power. So for him to kind of come up and give you that thump while those guys have been down, I don't know how you're not impressed, especially with Julio Rodriguez waking up earlier than he usually does.
Well, this was the year. This was the year that I asked: are we going to get the breakout year from Julio Rodriguez? Is the J-Rod show? Are those lights going to take full effect this year? Is that going to happen? I don't know that we're quite there, but I mean, he is doing everything he can right now. He and Luke Raley combined are doing everything they can right now to shoulder the load of missing a guy like Cal Raleigh, because it's look, tough to just go find 60 homers somewhere, and it's tough to provide the type of protection that Cal Raleigh might provide an individual, or a symbiotic relationship between he and Julio. It's not there. Right? Randy, swinging it well. These guys are swinging it well right now. But they also have that little problem that I talked about, which was they've got starting pitching who is doing a pretty damn good job of giving their team a chance to win every 5 days.
Emerson Hancock, like living up finally to that draft status quite a bit. Like 11 starts, 278 ERA. 357 FIP, like joining that group. There is just that weird drama, and I am curious to follow it as it goes along with Luis Castillo and Bryce Miller, with them going with the opener and then letting Bryce Miller kind of work in a bulk role.
It's a piggyback.
Clearly, yeah, listen. Go ahead, Dallas. But to have that awkwardness where Castillo's now lost his mind in the dugout and been mad to that degree, I am curious to see how that gets managed. Is it going to derail them one way or the other? Clearly not at this point, but just an interesting storyline for that team that's already had some weird clubhouse things already this year.
My guy Nick Kurtz got a shot at Player of the Month, huh?
Yeah, cute little 453 on base percentage. That's not bad.
Yeah. Sorry about it.
I can't get that Ryan Weathers moment out of my head, man. Him just going down into the crouch to watch the ball. It's so funny.
Oh.
And it
Dallas,
just pans to Boone. Like,
oh, I know.
Remind me, Dal, why is JJ Bledede baby not on the A's anymore? Why don't you guys? Why didn't you want him no more?
Because he was not performing,
Well,
and
he is now. So I feel like that's a mistake.
He's one of the better performers as of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great candidate for show him some love on Wednesday. God damn.
Yeah.
He's raking. He is raking.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah.
they got a couple weird guys hitting down there in Cincinnati right now, man.
He's got a Jordan Alvarez-esque OPS plus.
Nathaniel Lowe is like out there having like one of the best seasons of his entire career. It's like I don't know what they're injecting some of these dudes with.
How many times have you tweeted about him this season, would you say?
Nathaniel Lowe?
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I think 3 or 4 are from the BID account themselves.
Yeah, no, and that's why I'm asking. Yeah, I feel like it's
What's
it's been the
Nathaniel Lowe's
Lowe
OPS
count.
plus right now? Like 150 something?
Yeah, it's right in that ballpark. In terms of expected WOBA, right? Like we're hyping up JJ Bleday right now. Lowe's in the 92nd percentile. Like they are not that far. It's 98 versus 92.
That's kind of crazy that the Red Sox and A's had Nathaniel Lowe and JJ Bleday in-house, and now they're on other teams.
Well, at least the Red Sox went from Lowe to Wilson Contreras, who's an excellent
Yeah, no, I'm just
defender
kidding.
and
I'm
is
just
hitting
kidding
his
on
own
both
right.
cases.
I know, but I'm just saying like the A's are dumb. Like the Red Sox at least had a plan to move forward in the post Lowe Vaughn era. But man, that would have been nice. That would have been real nice if the A's were rolling Kurtzy and Bladede Bebe out there in the same lineup. And unfortunately, they said, this guy sucks and moved on from a really talented player with a great nickname as well. But yeah, we can move on. I feel like the NL East is status quo. The Braves are still the kings over there. But congratulations are in order to the Washington Nationals, who are celebrating being over 500, and that's no small feat. I'm not even trying to be facetious here. The Washington Nationals were, I don't want to say being mocked, because it's like, yeah, like you lead the league in runs scored, but you also lead the league in runs allowed. They have a +1 run differential. That's fine. They're 2 games over 500. That's a win. Even in a division where no one gave the Nats a shot, and who knows what happens to their postseason aspirations. Maybe we can talk about that right now for as far as Kalshi is concerned. But the Atlanta Braves are the kings of the NL East, and coming into the season, I think a lot of people thought the Phillies would have a chance at winning this division or coming in second place. The New York Mets, I know I had them as a wild card team. I believe Jay had them as a division winner. Their season has not gone well to this point, although they are riding a 4-game winning streak after sweeping the Marlins this past weekend. So it's an interesting division where, I don't know, maybe some wild card teams can come out of the NL East. I feel like we don't do a lot of Nats talk on this show, and they are 1 game back of a playoff spot. So I don't know. It's time to respect the Nats, yes or no?
Oh, I think it's definitely time to respect the Nats. I mean, I don't think that they're going to make any sort of real mount for a postseason spot, because I don't think their rotation and pitching overall, bullpen included, can sustain an entire season of baseball. I mean, they were 28-32 through 60 games last year. So it's not like they were just a complete shitbag and then they went into the tank in the second half of the season. I'm not saying exactly that's going to happen, but I do think you've received verdicts to some degree on the 2 most important questions that were facing your organization entering the year. And that's James Wood and CJ Abrams. And with the way Wood's season ended last year, like, we were all very excited about him. I tweet about James Wood as much as I tweet about any individual player. But the second half of his season last year was a disaster, and his strikeout rate from the second half of last year in through the first part of this year was approaching unsustainable territory. And he has figured that out, and it's always going to come with a lot of walks and a lot of strikeouts, but he looks like a legitimate superstar at this point. And CJ Abrams, who I know we talked about was a trade candidate for much of the offseason, or it seemed like it, he was on the short list, I think, for guys whose value entering 2026 was really kind of totally unclear. Like, is he a defensive liability? Is he a good offensive player? What is his on base percentage is low? What is his projection? What is his trajectory? And again, he's answered that question in a big way this year. And I think the Nationals can feel. I feel more different about the Nationals' trajectory than I do any team in baseball from where I felt they were entering the season. I thought this was a long way away still, and the offense feels like it's potent enough where that's not necessarily the case.
The offense might be, but the pitching.
On Kalshi right now, 9% to make the playoffs. If you want to get in on that action, because I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I love the offense, I don't love the pitching, but they could be a trade or 2 away.
But even with their offense, like what they did in May, where you went from being essentially like a bottom 10, like 20th in ERA, 19th in ERA, and 21st in FIP, was a dramatic improvement over the previous month, that March and April, where you were a bottom 3 or bottom 4 team, especially when you have the offense that they do right now. It's just, do you expect that to kind of last? And I'll take some of those other wild card fringe teams that are built and I think more well-rounded at this point in time from a pitching. And, you know, it's nice to put up runs, but especially as the season goes on, how are you going to make it through the summer as a bottom 10 pitching team? That just feels like a lot, especially if injuries start to crawl up, and that's decimated a lot of the Nationals rotation in recent years.
Mm-hmm. Guess we'll find out. Jay, you have a thought?
No, I'm just like James Wood in historical context. Like, I know we've talked about the Juan Soto return ad nauseum, but like, just the idea that they have a player in his age 23 season putting up a 400 on base percentage, a 173 OPS plus, who has cut his strikeout rate year over year from last year, has added more than 5% to his walk rate, north of 18. Like a 23-year-old drawing walks at an 18% clip is with like the threat of authority when he does swing the bat is just such an incredible thing to behold. And I just, if we're making a list of the most exciting cornerstone level players to watch over the next 5 years, the question for the Nats is, will they ever move beyond the Juan Soto era, the Juan Soto trade, Bryce Harper, etc.? And James Wood it doesn't feel like hyperbole to suggest that James Wood is actually in that lineage of player right now, given what he's accomplishing at this age.
And I do think it speaks something that some of these younger players are taking a step forward where it felt like they were either sidestepping or taking a step back, because this Nationals coaching staff was extremely experimental. When you look at like what they were doing with Drew Patera taking over and Paul Taboni kind of going about that entire coaching staff in a different way, to see some of these players young and thriving, I think that is such a nice stamp of confidence on what they're doing there. And that's what they're going to need. They needed this young group, and someone like Curtis Mead having the year he is, like, breaking back out. Those are the things that the Nationals need, I think, to accelerate it. And that's why they're here right now.
I have a question that I genuinely don't know the answer to. So I'm being a bad lawyer and asking a question I don't know the answer to already, but is there anything about like the degradation of the Red Sox front office, or the situation that Craig Breslow currently finds himself in, and the departure of notable Red Sox executives to take the Nationals gig and take over that front office? Like, do we think there's any relationship there between the communication? Like, I don't know Taboni at all in terms of like as a person, what his like strengths are as a skill set, but I do think it's interesting that the Nationals seem to be having an enormous amount of success since this front office took over, and they were flanking Craig Breslow, and in their absence, Craig Breslow is eating shit. And it's not a one-to-one. I'm more just asking the question, like what?
Yeah. First off, Blake Butero, not Drew. I always do that whenever I'm speaking about them. But no, Paul Taboni was kind of seen as one of the up and coming, the young studs in like terms of front office prospects or whatever you want to call it. And the Red Sox have had an open GM spot since Breslow got hired to be the CBO. Paul Taboni was given that job. It was supposed to be his coming into this offseason. Breslow was going to finally give someone that title, and it was simply because they were scared of him leaving the organization. And what Paul Taboni did, someone who was very heavy in a lot of the scouting department and the drafting side, there was more of a traditional old schooler look against the models. And it wasn't someone who was scared of those things, but we talk about what the Nationals have been doing, and seemingly even their job applications, people were comparing to what Craig Breslow was doing for Red Sox ads, and they were looking for this very synergized kind of energy, this groupthink, this collaborative process that focused on personality and kind of those relationships that Craig Breslow, as we criticized at the start of the show, doesn't seem to value or understand or put that same importance on. In a lot of ways, Paul Taboni to me represented the alternate end of the spectrum compared to what Craig Breslow was doing. And I think the Red Sox were desperate to keep him. It just came down to one of those spots where the Nationals said, fuck it, we're willing to take that risk because we're desperate. We need something to shake up this organization. And I think he's been everything you could have asked for so far. And I do think there's a chance the Red Sox look at it in a couple of years. And he was probably too green at the time Craig Breslow was hired, but you might have had the solution or something much closer to a solution inside your own organization before the Nationals went and scooped him up.
The Central, I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers, they're the kings over there still. But like we were talking about earlier, the St. Louis Cardinals, they're holding their own. They are holding their own in a division where I think a lot of people thought this might have been the Chicago Cubs' year. Still could be. But right now, the Chicago Cubs are in lockstep with Dallas's Pittsburgh Pirates, who are winners of 3 straight after a sweep this past weekend. Dallas, are you at all surprised that we are now in the month of June and the Pittsburgh Pirates still have a winning record? And I mean, I don't think the postseason's out of the question at this point.
No, am I surprised? I'm not surprised. I felt, and I think I've done a good job of conveying my thoughts regarding this. I have felt if you were going to get what I think we're starting to see from from the pitching staff that
Jared Jones back.
I kind of talked about it in the same vein that I talked about it with the Seattle Mariners. If you're going to get the help that you think that you can depend on from the pitching staff, but for the Pittsburgh Pirates, it was kind of just waiting for this to develop, right? Then you'd like to think that with the additions that they made in the lineup, you were going to see a combination of results that you could start to get on board with. You could start to see the picture taking place, taking shape. And I think that's what's happened. I mean, Braxton Ashcraft is throwing the absolute piss out of the baseball right now. Love every minute of that. I mean, Paul Skeens, I guess at this point, quietly going about his business, right? Sub-3 ERA, but he is not the talk of the National League to the extent that there are with other arms. I mean, Christopher Sanchez and Miz have kind of stolen that spotlight. I mean, there's other guys that we're talking about as well, the Yamamotos, the Otanis. Like, there's a lot of conversation around other guys other than Paul Skeens, it feels like, and that's helped them just quietly continue to plug along. I think, there's a little left to be desired, obviously, with what Bubba Chandler has done so far. But look, the heartbreak is that homeboy just went down, Connor Griffin, right? Hopefully that's nothing that lingers. Hopefully that's nothing that persists. Hopefully that's something that is, you know what? Hey, kid's 19 years old. Like, he'll bounce back. He'll be fine. Kids are resilient, as they say. But yeah, I think, look, it's nice. He goes down, O'Hearn comes up, boom, bop. Like you're able to plug guys in right now, and that's something that hasn't happened for the Pirates in a long time. And the fact that you're getting the support that you're getting from places like Nick Gonzalez, I mean, even Horowitz, the season he's having, like, dude, there's a lot to like about what the Pirates are putting together.
Their pitching is so good. I can't even believe we're saying this about the Pirates. Their pitching's so good that they've told Majinski to go fucking kick rocks, dude. They're like,
I couldn't believe he went on the restricted list to take a couple days to kind of get his mind together.
It was
surprising.
I'd love to get Dallas's opinion on this, actually, because I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more often, and/or maybe it happens more often, but it doesn't ever reach the getting to us stage. And like, I'm fascinated by this dynamic where a guy is having a great season. He's fighting for his future, his role, balancing team success versus his personal success. And the Pirates, and just the Pirates having to navigate this situation. This is like a welcome to the big leagues moment, in a sense, where it's like, the Pirates have never had to worry about having too many starting pitchers that were good. They've never had to worry about making these decisions in something of the limelight, right, where people were paying attention because real postseason odds are at stake. But I thought that situation over the weekend was pretty fascinating as well, and a tough spot given A, how good some of their other pitching has been, and B, like, what they have invested in some of those other pitchers, right? Like Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, like their development, in Jones's case, him shaking off the rust, those are huge parts of them being title contenders or contenders for whatever they think they're contenders for. But yeah, the Majinski stuff I thought was pretty fascinating.
I had a similar situation that I went through. Not like this was before I got to the big leagues. But after I was sent down from, after, I was optioned down or whatever from big league camp, my first big league camp, wasn't going to make the team out of camp. That wasn't a conversation. But I was continually brought back to back up. So you get sent down in those, in those days after, you want to try to be able to get your bearings. You're trying to start to get on a routine and a program. And well, you can't really do that if you are constantly leaving the minor league side to go and drive over to the other complex. You get there, your work has kind of been, thrown off a little bit. You're catching your throwing program and like what you're trying to do, what groove you're trying to get in. And eventually, after having backed up every day for like weeks, it felt like, I finally was like, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm actually not going to back up. Not going to do that because I want to pitch and I want to get ready for what I'm doing. They're like, oh, really? Noted. Got it. And I did not go back up for the rest of spring training. And it wasn't because they didn't want me to go back up. It was because they were sending me a message. Like, trust me, my friend, every opportunity to potentially pitch in the big leagues, on the big league side of things, is an opportunity you should be taking advantage of. Just want to remind you of that this is where you want to be. And then I had a meeting with the powers that be, and it was relayed in so many words that I should probably not do that anymore, because you're right there, kid. You're right there. Shut your fucking mouth and take the baseball. Got it? And I was like, well, I'm trying to, but I'm trying to figure out who I got it. I got it. So has it happened? Yes, this happens all the time. But the fact that it's happening to the Pirates, and it's kind of born out of a situation where, hey, you know what? Just stay in the bit, get us outs. All right. That's what we're trying to figure out. Just get us outs. We'll figure that out. Maybe not ideal for old Jinsk.
Yeah, and you look at where the Pirates are, it's like you do have the opportunity to play a key role here. Like, this is a Pirates bullpen that hasn't been great. They've been pretty mediocre. They're 17th in ERA. And I know it's not the same as being that starting pitcher and holding on to that identity, but to still have a way to contribute and kind of be maybe a Swiss Army knife, it seems like he got the message, because to go from sitting in front of the media and say, I'm talking to the people in my corner about what to do next, for a player where he is in the game today, is just, it was almost jarring to hear a lot of it. But it seems like that conversation, Dallas, that someone had with you, someone quickly had with him. And he now realizes, take the 48, get right, and get here. Because Charrington told them, we're not going through the whole weekend, or, the next couple days, or through this upcoming weekend short on arms. So figure it out by then, or else someone else will be here to take your spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's extremely relatable.
Oh,
like,
for
honestly,
sure.
like
It is. You're doing your job. Yeah.
If you're Carmen and you're sitting there, again, I'm not saying this is right or this is how team sports should work, but if you're just in your privacy of your own thoughts, sitting there as Carmen Majinski and thinking, well, shit, man, like, I have a 3 and change ERA this season. I had a 3 and change ERA last season. My career has been a 3 and change ERA. Like, I've been a very effective pitcher basically since I stepped on the mound for you guys in various roles. I've been shifted around a lot. I'm finally starting the majority of my games this year and having success. I'm in my age 27 season. So it's not like he's got a ton of time, and he's looking around and being like, Jared Jones just got fucking back here, had a fucking 4.5 ERA last year and is taking my rotation spot. Bubba Chandler has walked the fucking world this season and is retaining a rotation spot over me. Like, and we can all say, well, Bubba Chandler was the top pitching prospect in baseball entering this year, and Jared Jones throws 100 miles an hour and their upside's a lot higher. And we all understand that. But from his perspective, I would also be fucking pissed off. I'd be like, what are we fucking doing?
And he's also a first round pick.
Here's why you're angry. But here, like the point that I didn't make, and I guess it's just because this was my natural inclination, my first thought, and I didn't even voice it. So maybe that's on me. We're talking about his earning power that you're messing with.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
This is the entire take home here, is you're now taking me out of the starting rotation. Games started, and I'll be coming out of the bullpen all on the cusp of arbitration. So my player profile
next year for him.
Correct. So my player profile is going to be looking very differently. Why am I starting? Remember when we walk into that room and we go to arbitration, and you're going to tell the free world that I was so bad that you had to move me to the bullpen. I'm an unreliable starter, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know that could very well be happening. So that's why I'm pissed right now. And I'm pissed right now because of the things that you also highlighted, Jay, is if I've been consistent and I've continued to give you expectable production that you can anticipate, you can bank on this, then why am I the one who doesn't get the benefit of the doubt? Why do I have to continue to earn this if these other guys haven't quite lived up to what you wanted them to be right now in the moment, and I'm giving you what I'm giving you in the moment? Where am I going wrong? And the answer is you're not going wrong. This is just what's going to happen, though.
Does that bleed Dallas ever into player-player relationships between each other, or is that just simply a frustration with the front office and their
Straight
outlook
up.
on what it should be?
Yeah. Yep. Because at the end of the day, and this is what happens once you get to pro ball, right? You understand why certain guys get certain opportunities, why guys have a longer leash. They have more room for failure. You understand because there's an investment in them that there's simply not in you. And if you start to turn yourself into somebody who is just as valuable as them now, right? Like you can outperform your signing bonus very early on. I was somebody who did that, Milky. Like, I mean, you get to pro ball day one and everybody knows what round you came from. Everybody knows what school you came from. Everybody knows how much money you got, blah, 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 blah. So over the first month, while somebody else is getting lit up and they've got a 9 ERA, you're like, well, first of all, the dude throws 94, 95. Secondly, this was our second rounder. So he got a boatload of cash. You're going to have to just continue to outperform this dude. And that's something that you understand. That's why I call it the Thunderdome. Like it is. Like you just got to survive. And the guy who continues to drop bodies, the guy who's standing there at the end of the fight every night, that's the dude who reveals himself to be the gladiator. And that's what Majinski sees. Like, come on, man. Like I feel like in this sample size right now, am I not getting it done? This is what you're about to do. Like I got a real opportunity to make starting pitching money potentially. And now I'm watching that get taken away. Damn.
You guys want to hit on the NL West real quick?
Dodgers.
It's over. Yeah, it's over. Unfortunately.
Thanks for that.
Sounds good to me. Really quick before we get out of here, the labor proposals were exchanged. We're talking salary cap. We're talking salary floor. What?
Well, before we get into that, because something happened with the ABS that I want to address because I have information that I know it doesn't sound like has been made public. So
okay, that's interesting.
I can give you insight to what happened, and we didn't talk about this on the broadcast because after the third inning, baseball just seemed almost like an afterthought. But what happened in game 2 of the series between the A's and the Yankees is Ryan Weathers threw a pitch. It was called a strike. It was indeed a ball. Tyler Soderstrom challenged the pitch. There was a breakdown, a glitch, if you will, in the ABS system. So the ABS controllers, the ABS operator / controller's laptop glitched. The whole system glitched. What ended up happening was the pitch that did show up when it did appear on the system was the incorrect pitch. Still a strike, but it was the incorrect pitch. So think of it in this term. If it was pitch number 50 that Ryan Weathers had just thrown in the game, and it was pitch number 50 that was challenged, well, let's say pitch number 47 was a strike, but obviously it's not pitch 50. The information of pitch 47 is what was communicated from the controller to the umpire. So in that moment, it's not the human being's fault because they are simply reading the feedback that they got from the ABS system. So in that moment, the ABS controller doesn't know that it's the wrong pitch. They just have the information that they have, and that's all they have to go on. So the ABS controller then messages down to the umpire. They let the umpire know that the call is confirmed because on their screen it's showing a strike. You just called a pitch in the game a strike. Here's the pitch that I have. Call confirmed, strike. So when that happens, the A's lose their challenge. The unfortunate part is that the folks at home, and then later after the inning, the dugout became privy to the fact that it was a ball. And there was nothing you could do about it. And what sucked about it is that the A's lost the challenge. In that moment, should we figure out a way to give the A's their challenge back, there's really no issue, no harm, no foul, if you will, because we understand that you can't go back and redo the at-bat over. It's already over. We're not going to get that pitch back. It's already done. But what you do have the chance to do is make the A's whole understanding that there was a system error, and you can give them their challenge back, and all is right with the world. And I posed this question on the broadcast was, well, what if we give Major League Baseball, or Major League Baseball gives us personnel down there behind home plate with access to the instant feedback of the strike zone, so that in the event there is a in-house system glitch or whatever that's directly connected to the computer system that the ABS controller is using, you still have this last line of redundancy, this last line of integrity, if you will, for the ABS system to be in place. So in that moment, that MLB employee dressed in black, wearing their MLB logo hat, can walk up to the umpires and go, "Hey, crew, this was actually what happened here. So here's the call."
Imagine if something like this happened in the postseason.
That was exactly what I said, Jared. I said, could you imagine if this were to, and let's put this series, because it's a game in May and it's the A's, nobody cares, move on, brother, mistakes happen. I talked to Michael Kay about this after the game. And I said what I just said right now. I said to Michael, could you imagine if this role was reversed and it was you guys who had to wear this? I said, you'd be losing your mind. And he was like, yep. And this would be all over the back page in New York, all over. This would be massive, that the Yankees got cheated out of a challenge. That's how this would go down. And it's not to say that one team is bigger than the other. There's a pretty clear understanding. One team is moving the needle a little more than the other. Get that. But could you imagine a postseason game ending this way? Could you imagine a defining moment that could get a team to the postseason happening in this fashion? And you're going to find out after the inning that the call was incorrect, and that's why I feel like this last line of redundancy is something they should strongly consider. But what happens if you do that? You then are admitting that this kind of stuff can happen.
Which, when you look at some of the other glitches that have happened, it's always been simply just the camera. They're not able to get it in the ballpark to show it, so they just stick with the original call. This is another layer of a error of something we haven't at least seen in that capacity. It even happened in a Cubs game in May, but it wasn't this. Once again, it was just they could not get the actual ABS to show up on the monitor, so they stuck to the call. To just straight up have the wrong pitch that they're working off of, that feels like I don't know, you're falling deeper and deeper into that hole of some of the variables that could go wrong. And that's where it gets scary when people are betting on games and
Milky, thank you,
and stuff are on the line.
Thank you. Because now those dollars that are exchanging hands boils down to a glitch. So then rightfully so. I mean, I hate to even pose this or go down this rabbit hole, but you mean to tell me that hackers wouldn't be interested in being able to tap in to a system and start fiddling with this?
You've already excused it once. It was a mistake. Hey, the system fucked up. It's like, all right, well, how often can the system fuck up? And sometimes just one fuck up can be the difference between you having a lot of money and not having a lot of money.
I happen to know the number that I won't disclose, but just know that this ain't the first time.
Interesting. Has the league commented on this?
I don't think so.
I feel like that's something that should be addressed from up top, no?
I mean, again, you have to, what are they going to say that they haven't already said? Understanding that everything is imperfect and we're trying our best to get it right.
And I think a lot of people don't even realize some of the writing in terms of when this system was introduced, some of the room of error, the margin for error. There is an exact location of pitches compared to where they are in the strike zone. And when you start to read into some of those things, you do wonder, like, is this accurate enough to be making such crucial, such minute difference in details where, there's this much where it could be foggy or the system could be wrong? Well, that's the difference between a game that you win and a game that you don't. How many times does that happen over 162 where a pitch less than a tenth of an inch off the plate gets called and says it's a ball? It's like, well, is this system even strong enough to really make that distinction? Those
Yeah.
are real
I mean,
conversations.
crazy. It was the same. It was a similar system that allowed them to instantly track Cal Raleigh's home run derby ball that went just fucking 0.003 of a centimeter further than Brent Rooker's did. They had that information in 30 seconds. Brutal.
Yeah, so the ABS system uses similar technology to the line calling system in tennis with 12 cameras in each ballpark, tracking the ball with a margin of error around 1/6 of an inch.
Yeah. So it's almost like, okay, we've swapped the computer error for human error.
Essentially.
It's a
It's just
game
a
of-
fixed error.
It's a game of 1/6 of inches. That's what they say.
Yeah. That was wild, though. That was wild.
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah, I got texts about it immediately from our mutual friend Nate. Yeah, he's like, Dallas is about to be real pissed off.
I did. I was unhappy, man. And I couldn't believe the amount of people who were like, "It's okay, bro. Just take it." It's like, hold what?
Nah.
Are you seeing what's happening here?
Nah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got any juicy nugs on this June 1st, Justin Havens?
Oh, God, do we? It's one of my favorite times to do Nugs because you can look back at arbitrary months of production.
Yeah.
And you get to find a lot of fucking wild shit that's happening. Oh, by the way, did you see the Pirates tweet yesterday where they took out the W and the Twins logo?
Yes.
Beautiful. Christopher Sanchez and Jacob Mizorowski, their Mays are officially over. Sanchez, as we know from the last time we potted, 39 innings pitched, 0 runs. Miz went on Sunday, added another 7 scoreless, 38 1/3, 1 run. May 2026 marks the first month in MLB history where multiple pitchers logged 35 or more innings pitched while allowing 1 or 0 runs. So truly epic stuff. Mizorowski is the third pitcher to have a 6-start span featuring 50 or more strikeouts and 1 or 0 runs allowed, continuing as he has with Jacob deGrom in 2021 and Chris Sale in 2018. Most innings pitched in a single month while allowing 1 or 0 runs in the live ball era. We have 2 of the 5 highest totals came in May of 2026. Obviously, Sanchez and Miz. The only instances of more innings pitched in a single month with 1 or 0 runs allowed are aforementioned Oral Hershiser, September, October of 88, 55 innings. Fernando Valenzuela, March and April of 81, 45. And Cliff Lee, June of 2011. If you're a real stickler and don't like throwing that September, October, March, April stuff at you, Lee's was in just June of 2011. That was 42 innings pitched. Continuing on, the Braxton Ashcraft mentioned earlier, he threw 40 1/3 innings pitched with a 1.99 ERA this month. He's the first Pirates pitcher to throw 40 or more innings with a sub-2 ERA in the month of May since Kip Wells in 2002. Jack Kohanowitz, 7.85 ERA this past month, is the second highest ERA by an Angels starting pitcher in the month of May and at least 6 starts in franchise history. Lower than only Ken Hill's 8.07 ERA in 1998. Ken Hill, former Cleveland great, shout him out. 10-plus homers allowed in fewer than 25 innings pitched in the month of May. We had 2 pitchers do that this month of May. It had only happened 4 times prior. Kyle Freeland and Brady Singer somehow managed to allow 10 homers in fewer than 25 innings pitched. Grayson Rodriguez in 23, Dylan Covey in 17, Ezekiel Estacio in 05, and Dwight Gooden in 2000 are the only other instances of that. Nolan McLean, he was hitting a lot of people. 7 hit by pitches in the month of May this year. The only instances of pitchers doing that in May in the wild card era are Steve Carsey in 97, Pedro Estacio in 98, Justin Verlander in 2007, and everybody's favorite little bitch boy, Trevor Bauer in 2019. Cade Smith became the 4th pitcher in MLB history to rack up 13 or more saves in a single May. He joins Glenn Perkins in 2015, Todd Jones in 2006, and Danny Graves in 2004. That is a real collection of names. 13 or more saves in a single May. Juan Soto, the lone bright spot, not the lone, one of the bright spots on the Mets. He is the first NL player with 10 or more homers and 5 or more stolen bases in the month of May in 2 decades. And the last time it happened also featured the Mets. That was Carlos Beltran in 2006. Alfonso Soriano also did it in May of 2006. If you go a little bit more specific, 10 homers, 5 stolen bases, and fewer than 20 strikeouts in the month of May in the entire history of the NL. That's Cy Williams in 1923, Chuck Klein in 1932. Willie Mays did it twice. He was very good, Willie Mays, if you're not familiar with him. 1958 and 1964. Jeff Bagwell in 97. Ryan Klesko in 2001. And, of course, Juan Soto, 2026. First guy in 25 years to do that in the NL. O'Neill Cruz is the 4th NL player with 4 or more homers and 9 or more stolen bases in a single May in the last 20 years, joining Ronald Acuna Jr. in 23, Justin Upton in 2015, and Jose Reyes in both 06 and 08. Nick Kurtz. He is the 8th instance of an AL batter aged 23 or younger producing 25 or more RBI and a 450 or greater on-base percentage in the month of May. He joins Al Simmons in 25, Double X in 29 and 30, Ted Williams in 1942, Mickey Mantle in 1955, Manny Ramirez in 95, and Carlos Correa in 2017. Corbin Carroll, he's the first player with at least 3 homers, 4 triples, and 3 stolen bases in the month of May since Whit Merrifield in 2019. Kyle Schwarber, he had a very Kyle Schwarber month. He had 10 or more, he had 11 homers actually, but he is the 3rd player with 10 or more homers and 40 or more strikeouts in a single May, joining exactly the 2 people who you would think are on this list. Adam Dunn in 2012 and Ryan Howard in 2008. Taylor Ward, what a weird month he had. 5th player in the last 40 years with at least 25 walks, but no more than 1 homer in the month of May, joining Larry Walker in 2003. Love this list. Larry Walker in 03, John Kruk in 1993, Wade Boggs in 1998, and Willie Randolph in 1986. Ward is also the first AL batter with 6 or fewer RBI while receiving at least 125 plate appearances in the month of May since Nori Aoki in 2014. Nori Aoki reference. Rafael Devers. We cover both sides here. 14 or more doubles and 5 or more homers, very arbitrary, in a single May in the wild card era. Devers this year, Freddie Freeman in 23, Miguel Tejada in 09, Miguel Cabrera in 06, Todd Helton in 01, and Edgar Martinez in 1996. Devers, he also had 14 doubles and 33 strikeouts. If we pair those 2 numbers together, it's the 2nd player in MLB history to rack up at least 14 doubles and 33 strikeouts in any month, not just May, joining Bo Bichette in August of 2019. We obviously all remember Bo Bichette's famous August featuring lots of doubles and lots of strikeouts. Players with at least 5 homers, 20 walks, and 35 strikeouts in a single May. Aaron Judge did that. He's the first since Joey Gallo in 19. Adam Dunn, Dan Ugla, Carlos Pena, and Jim Thome are the other players to do that. Pretty much exactly who you'd think. Someone requested a Jaron Duran nugget when I was doing that this morning. Peyton Tolle Enthusiast, I believe, was the one who asked for it.
Was it the Section 10 event yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, shout him out. 9 or more homers, 5 or more stolen bases, and 38 or more strikeouts in the month of May. The only players to do that ever are just Red Sox players. Jaron Duran this year and Trevor Story in 2022. And continuing on, we're nearing the end here. 3 teams produced 40 or more homers and 20 or more stolen bases in the month of May this season. That was the White Sox, Mariners, and Nats. 0 teams did that in May of 24 or May of 25. The Rays are the first team with 20 or fewer stolen bases, but at least 15 times caught stealing in the month of May since the Angels in 05. That's an ugly brand of baseball. The White Sox are the 3rd team in MLB history to register at least 23 hit by pitches and at least 12 wild pitches in a single May, joining the 2006 Nationals and the 1900 New York Baseball Giants. And lastly, James Wood, just wanted to hammer this home because it was basically, it's the specifics of the point I was saying earlier. The only players in the wild card era to produce an OPS plus higher than James Woods right now in their age 23 season are Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, and Albert Pujols. And those are the Nugs. Can I get my final thought in here too, real fast?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Adrian Beltre, when you're asked whether you
Jay.
believe Wander Franco deserves a second chance, the answer is no. It's not, I'm going to think about it. It's not, it's no. No second chance. So Adrian
Pedro,
Beltre,
too.
whose Q score was probably as perfect as any baseball player, took a little bit of a hit thanks to TMZ's gotcha journalism.
Also, there was someone else that had a similar
I saw
take
Pedro,
that I
yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Pedro Martinez, for those former Red Sox legend.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Are advocating for Wander?
Mm-hmm.
He was approached, and people are trying to defend it, saying Adrian Beltre was approached in an airport and kind of an in-your-face, like it was TMZ, like TMZ style, kind of gotcha question. Sure. I kind of refuse to engage in that because it's not a gotcha question. It's just a no. It's just a no. People deserve second chances. That's fine. Those second chances don't automatically include becoming a multimillionaire baseball player when you've done pedo stuff. And those are my final thoughts.
Dallas, you have a final thought?
I can't believe the third inning I watched unfold in front of my eyes. I don't. I am going to have the 1,000-yard stare because of that. Because of that inning, like that. Like if there's anything in my life that has done that to me, it's that. It's that. I don't think you guys truly understand when you are keeping score. And you are filling out your scorebook, and you just
That's
have
such a good point.
You're like, you know what? It looks like I'm coloring it all in. All of this entire it is wow, man. Wow. Like, do you realize, like, when you look up and you're like, well, that's Volpe's second stolen base this inning because he also has 2 hits this inning. Now that I think about it, everybody on the team has scored this inning, and we still don't have an out recorded. Wow. This is taking forever. I just, dude, I've never even, the Yankees hadn't done something like that since 1920. Our blessed Lord George Herman Ruth was in pinstripes. Like,
I mean, you're kind of lucky, man.
It was, fuck, dude. I failed to, after a while, I didn't really have much to say on the broadcast either. I just don't know. Yeah. It was insane. Insane.
T.
I didn't want to touch on it when we were doing the recap of the Orioles and Blue Jays series, but the whole Jesus Sanchez situation just being absolutely wild. And I'll be honest, I feel bad for that kid because I feel like that's something that would have happened to me as a kid, where I misinterpret something and I take out the dude playing baseball on the field. But that exactly what Dallas just did. If I saw that same thing,
yes,
in my brain, that tells me we're playing catch. I don't know if things just went wrong and it's just an unfortunate incident, but I feel for the kid.
Universal. Yeah, it's the universal throw it.
And
as opposed
I don't blame
to like
the kid for throwing,
waving. Yeah, that sucks.
I just hope baseball isn't ruined for him after.
But I mean,
but what a story to tell. Moving
do we have a diagnosis, Milky? Like what happened? Like what's?
No fracture. It's just soreness. So they're going to give him the off day, and they're going to go from there.
So I mean something to consider too is that was his throwing hand, right? Like you've been hit before by a pitch, Jesus. Like you've been hit before. Was that something he wasn't going to be able to come back from? Like, was that something that he had to go into a?
It was a 13-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Well, but that's my whole point. Is like,
oh, he was carrying the risk, like walking off the field.
I
You
know.
would have thought it was in 8 pieces.
I know. That's my whole point. It hit him in the right hand, right? He hits left-handed. That lower hand has been hit before. Like you've been hit before. With 95, you've been hit before. Like this 13-year-old throwing this ball out of the stands, like he collapsed, it looked like. Like, oh my God. Like you could just see like his arm just instantly just gone. Just lit. I was like, damn. You must have hit a nerve.
Poor kid. Getting ripped out of the ballpark, like sitting there, and they're getting taken away, and they're investigating. It was like, come on, man! Like clearly, none of this was intentional. Let's be
and the whole time he's
for
like,
real.
He was telling me to throw me the ball. What
That's
he
it.
I thought he wanted to play
Squeeze
catch.
your glove at me.
Yeah, that sucks. What are you gonna do? Do you think Sanchez was hamming it up?
A little bit.
Like I said, dude. I mean, you've worn some shit off the hand before, a time or two. You know.
Yeah. A lot of people with giant reaches for lawsuits these days. I think, you know.
What, you think Sanchez is going to litigate this with the 13-year-old?
You never know. You just never know. Okay. That's a wrap on the Monday Sode. And we'll be back tomorrow night with just the nuts. Who do we got for pitching matchups, Jay? Anything crazy happening on Tuesday?
Oh, anything crazy happening. I mean, the good thing about Just the Nuts is there is always something to get excited about. And tomorrow, tomorrow we've got some answers to that. We got Gage Jump back on the mound. Let's start there. 8:05 Eastern at Wrigley Field. That's probably a very exciting opportunity for the young man.
Sure.
Connolly Early is on the bump.
Your boy's pitching, Jay Hay.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Schlitt Daddy on the bump. Schlitt Daddy, Kyle. Oh, this is perfect actually because it's a Schlittler Kyle Harrison night.
Kyle Harrison. Yeah.
So we can really lean in here. That's going to be good. Red Sox fans are going to love Just the Nuts tomorrow night. Schlittler, Kyle Harrison. Tune in.
Schlitt box. I'm a true Schlitt head.
Oh, you know what's awesome? We should do like a graphic on this actually. Nathan Eovaldi's pitching. Dustin May is pitching. A lot of Red Sox greats are going to be out tomorrow night. Yeah. We should do something with that.
How many guys are pitching that the Red Sox would currently like to have on their team?
I think it's those four. I think it's Eovaldi, May, Harrison. Well, I guess Schlittler is just a normal troll. That's not a former Red Sox great, but he was in their backyard and they didn't get him. So it's kind of like the same thing as we talked about before.
Couldn't afford Nate Eovaldi. You had to get Corey Kluber, despite if you had just paid Nate Eovaldi, you still would have been under the luxury tax that year. Never forget that.
Steven Matz is starting for the Rays. So basically like their entire trade deadline from a year ago is on the bump.
Every single time he's on the mound or Blaze Jordan hits a homer, I get the reminder these days. I'm over it. Buster Olney was fighting in my mentions about it like 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Wow, humble brag.
Thank you.
There are 3 individuals who are pitching during Just the Nuts who were involved in Red Sox trades last year. Okay. We'll see you then.
We go.